Elly De La Cruz and Matt McLain spark those rally Reds as the Cincinnati Reds rally from behind to beat the Miami Marlins down in the fishbowl.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi there, welcome in. I'm Stephen Offenbaker. That's Tim Daniel, and this is Locked On Reds. Thanks for being an everydayer. Thanks for making us the number one sports podcasting network in all of the land. Locked On Reds is part of that Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every single day. A little bit later in today's show, we're going to talk about Brady Singer having an opportunity to get yet another series win for the Cincinnati Reds as they go to win their third out of the 4-game set down in Miami. We're also going to be talking about Andrew Abbott, and he wasn't perfect like some of the guys have been this time through the rotation, but he did a great job of limiting hard contact in his start against the Marlins last night. We're going to break down his performance here in just a few minutes, but where we are going to start is for the second time this year, the Reds get an extra innings win. They come from behind. They play Rally Reds in a game that was seemingly kind of done for the Reds. The Marlins were in a position to let's lock it down, couldn't quite get it done, and the Reds took full advantage of that, Tim. I was just kind of getting ready to wrap my head around talking about the winning streak being broken and, how they were going to, regroup and still could take the series. And then a strange thing happened along the way to the podcast studio, and that is the Reds rallied in the ninth inning. First of all, I could not believe that the Marlins pulled Alcantara in the ninth inning when they did. He was still dealing. And for them to go out there and get him to go to a bullpen that was clearly not better than him really surprised me, and the Reds took full advantage of that.
That's why they are the Miami Marlins, Steve, because when they have things going good, they find a way to make it bad. You win a World Series, you sell the whole team off. You have a Cy Young Award pitcher back in his regular form after having Tommy John surgery, you pull him too early. That's what they do. And the Reds took full advantage. Here's what I loved about last night's game. It's the first game all year that the Reds had no business winning. They had no business beating Alcantara. And really, they didn't. I know he got hung for those two runs, but he was dominant. And everything was working. They were getting through, I think he had 60 pitches after going into the seventh inning. He was not, he was very efficient. They were really aggressive trying to get him early in counts because, he's a guy you don't want to go 0-2 against. And because how that ends every single time. He had 6 strikeouts tonight. His ERA after those 2 runs got bumped up to a really blistering, struggling 0.74. So that tells you the kind of season he's having so far. But dude, it's just the fact that it's the 2 guys that we've kind of, I don't know. Is it fair to say the 2 guys we've kind of built the team around were the 2 guys that really led them to this win? McLain and Elly were the guys.
Yeah, because Elly's clearly the face, right? Major League Baseball has made Elly De La Cruz a face, not only regionally, but nationally. He's a face of baseball. And then you've got Matt McLain, who we learned through Reds Fest and all during the offseason is really looked upon by his teammates, by his peers as a leader, as a captain, as a guy that everybody goes to keep it loose, to keep it real, for encouragement. That is Matt McLain. So yeah, those 2 guys I think are those dudes, and it was great to see them really be the factors.
Double steal
pulling this out. Double steal. You look at how this scoring happened. They go into the ninth inning down 2-0, clinging to their last gasps. Sal Stewart hits a sac fly that scores Matt McLain, moves Elly De La Cruz to third base, and then for the first time in what feels like a long time, Elly De La Cruz did Elly De La Cruz things on the base pass, getting those giant leads over there at third base. You could tell he was itching to do something. And the second that baseball was in the dirt to the catcher, bouncing around just a little bit, Elly did not hesitate. He goes and he scores on what they called a wild pitch. And manages to get in there without even a throw to the plate. I loved it. That tied the game. What an exciting ninth inning.
So remember yesterday when we were talking about how Sadak always says Elly doesn't start going until he starts drawing walks.
Mm-hmm.
He had 2 today. He had 2 in that last night's game.
2 walks. He looked really good at the plate. He looked comfortable. And again, against Alcantara, that's not an easy task, right? To work a walk, especially since Alcantara was cruising. There was three innings where he was under 10 pitches in the pitch count for the inning. He was dealing 70 pitches through 7. The Reds were not making him work very hard. It helps when you got a pitcher that you're facing that throws strikes. They kind of force you to swing early and often. But, I would have liked to seen the hitters try to work the counts a little bit more, but sometimes it just is what it is. You're absolutely right when you say it was nice to see the Reds win a game that they probably should not have won. This is one of those, you're going to win 60, you're going to lose 60, and it's what you do with the other 42 that really matter. And they stole. This was probably one of those 60 that they were supposed to lose.
Yes.
Pull this into the win column. We've seen them already have a game against Pittsburgh that should have gone in the win column that they gave away to the loss column. So it's good to see them kind of balancing things out. Then we get, so the Reds tie the game in the 9th. We see them go to the 10th, and we see Matt McLain come up big. Bases loaded. I thought it was going to be a grand slam. I really left the bat that he had just hit a grand slam. Instead, it's a double to really add on insurance runs. But what a big, timely hit. That's been the theme, right, Tim? We've been talking about timely hitting from this team. They haven't been scoring tons of runs. They haven't been scoring, every single inning. But when it's mattered the most, they have found a way to string together hits, to make things happen and manufacture runs. And they did that in extras. They managed to jump out to ultimately score 6 runs in this game when they were down 2-0 heading into the 9th inning. They win this game 6-3. I love what I saw from these hitters continuing to just scrap and fight and push all the way through the final out. This hasn't always been the case for the Cincinnati Reds.
Not one bit.
You see them at times previous, not so much under Terry Francona, but you've seen them at times lay down, back off, concede the loss, play for another day. That's not this team anymore.
No, and I made this point to some friends because us working in the industry we work in, of course, we hear everyone's opinions and we're grateful for everyone's opinions. I'm not trying to say we're not. But we heard a lot of, does Terry Francona really matter to this team? I think tonight shows Terry Francona really matters to this team because so many things have changed now. Remember last year, they weren't stealing bases like at all. They're stealing bases again. And sometimes they're double stealing bases. The base running looks so much better in general, not just stealing bases. They aren't giving outs away in the base pass like they were last year. They're being really aggressive and they're taking advantage of things. The classic Brandon Phillips, 1st to 3rd. That's what we do in Cincinnati line. It's a lot of that. And I think that has a lot to do with the manager, has a lot to do with the coaching staff. And like you said, they just always find a way. And you see different things. So like we're talking about all these guys who did all these awesome things. You haven't brought up Nathaniel Low yet. Had one of the biggest hits of the game. And he's cold. He hasn't done anything all game. He comes in the pinch for Brian Hayes earlier and gets that hit. It's his first, he's done that so far this year. He's had a couple of those.
For anybody questioning why Nate Lowe made this team and they sent JJ Bleday to the minors, why that happened, that situation, that moment, that result is why that happened. They wanted a guy at the end of the bench that was an experienced veteran hitter that knew how to have professional at-bats, that could run into one and hit for some power from time to time and understood their role. That is the definition of Nathaniel Low on this team. He checks all of those boxes and he had a big moment, and I am so glad for it because that is exactly why he is here. That moment late in the game to be able to make a move and still have a professional hitter in the lineup.
100%, especially because you have like the Jose Trevino's and the Brian Hayes of the world who aren't necessarily going to go out there and give you some big boostering hits by any means. Having a guy like that on your bench is something this Reds team really hasn't had for Chris Heisey, maybe.
Yeah, a legitimate threat off the bench for sure. But listen, we talked about this. They went into the 9th, had not scored any runs, but they were only down 2-0 in this game going into 9th, having an opportunity to come from behind and win it. And the reason for that is the pitching continues to deliver for these Cincinnati Reds. We're going to talk about that coming up next.
Hey, this is Jeff Carr from Locked On Reds, and when it comes to our futures, we all have great ideas when it comes to our job, when it comes to our house, when it comes to our vehicles, all that great stuff. But honestly, when it comes to securing that future, I don't know what I don't know. And when me and my wife sat down to figure out the life insurance thing, Ethos made everything simple. Everything's online, you have a quick and easy application process, and you find out exactly what you need for coverage all in one spot. Ethos makes everything so convenient when it comes to learning about your own life insurance, because insurance is something that is far beyond batting average or on-base percentage. It's way out in left field for me. Ethos made it all easy. Take just 10 minutes and get covered today with life insurance through Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/lockedonmlb. That's ethos.com/lockedonmlb. Application times may vary and rates may vary.
Thanks for making Locked On Reds your first listen each and every day. If you haven't done so, click the subscription button, click the notification bell. That is 100% free. You're going to get all the great content we've got coming your way. You already live this team every single day. Now elevate your game just a little bit and get the ad-free version of Locked On Reds. Uninterrupted shows over in the audio side, part of the Everydayer Club, folks, $5 a month. $50 a year, you get ad-free Locked On Reds. You also get access to the exclusive Discord server that's not just Locked On Reds. It's not just me, Jeff, and Tim in there talking. It's every single host, every single show, network-wide. All of the Locked On hosts are in there. What a deal. $5 a month, $50 a year. Use the promo code FINALLY to get your first month free. All right, Tim, let's keep talking about how wonderful the Cincinnati Reds are right now. This is fun. A lot of times April has not been fun a lot over, I don't know, the last decade. And this has been a fun April. We're making comparisons, 5-0. I don't know if you, I know you know, because I watched your postcast show last night. 5-0. First time that's happened since when? 1990. What happened in 1990? Wire to wire World Series champion Cincinnati Reds. So let's run that back. Tim, they are playing really, really well. They are doing lots of good things, and they're doing them when they matter most. Starting pitching has been phenomenal. Andrew Abbott takes the mound. He is the ace of this staff right now, battling another ace in Alcantara on the other side. It was just going to be a matter of who could make something happen first. I feel like Andrew Abbott was a victim of having an outfielder that's 4 foot tall and not really an outfielder in left field. Spencer Steer had an absolute rocket blistered his way. And when I say rocket, I mean rocket. This ball was 113 miles an hour off the bat, and it got on top of Spencer Steer in a hurry. I feel like Will Pinson probably catches that ball. If Friedel had been playing over there, he probably catches that ball. Dane Myers probably gets to that ball. Spencer Steer, not so much, but it is what it is. And it allowed that inning to continue. It allowed the Marlins to get on the board, led to them having a 2-0 lead. But by and large, Andrew Abbott pitched really, really good. You look at the box and see what he did. He threw 91 pitches, 51 of those for strikes, 5 1/3 inning, 6 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 2 Ks. He didn't overpower anybody, but he kept the Reds in this ball game.
Yeah, and that's all you can ask for when your team is struggling offensively. That's what aces do, and they did exactly what an ace does. He kept them in the ballgame. He gave them a chance to win. When the bullpen took over, when Pierce Johnson came in and got in took care of those last 2 outs, he gave them a chance to win. That's all you can ask from him, and he did just that. He was definitely solid, like you said. Just did a really good job of not letting hard contact get him. Besides that double, which that's now the second time we've seen Steer do that on this road trip, where he's bet a play that another outfielder gets. The dive in Texas, cost Brady Singer 2 runs, led to his no decision, as Brady Singer still chasing his first win. So yeah, it's certainly been a theme. It's not a great theme, especially as I question what Spencer Steer's future is with the Redlegs. But yeah, that's not what we're here. Andrew Abbott, excellent once again. And it's all the Reds really needed to hit from him. Give them a chance to win the game, and then the offense took over the rest of the way.
Outside of his first outing in Cincinnati, Pierce Johnson's looked pretty good. And Jeff and I questioned that first outing why Pierce Johnson was throwing fastballs instead of curveballs when he was in there, and he's been much better since then. Then I do want to spend some time though here in this segment talking about the next guy that came in,
dude,
and that is Franco, because or Franco, depending on the correct pronunciation of that last name. But listen, 2 innings, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts made the Marlins look fairly bad at the plate. Did his job, kept the Reds in this game, which kind of allowed for everything that took place in the 9th inning. It's because Franco came in this game and really kept it held down.
You didn't even mention he hadn't pitched in 8 days.
Mm-hmm.
So he had 8 days off and goes in there and does that. And it was funny because I mentioned this in the postcast as I was driving home last night, going to do my show. Got to listen to the WLW postgame show. And Tommy Thrall talks about when Franco left the game, Chris Welsh looked at him and said, they got to find a way to win this one because he did everything he possibly could for them to win this game. And so they did find a way to do so, which was great. But this is the guy who wasn't supposed to make the big league roster. This is a guy who was inactive on opening day. He was dressed, but wasn't available to pitch because of the work he had done in spring training, and goes out there and doesn't pitch for days and has the 2 most important innings out of the bullpen in this game. So,
and here's the thing that Franco has going for him in that particular regard. All spring training, they treated him as a starting pitcher. When he eventually goes back to Louisville, and he will when Caleb Ferguson gets activated, when he eventually goes back to Louisville, I imagine he drops into their rotation. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I imagine that he does. He's used to going 5 days, 6 days in between outings. So he's got a little bit of advantage there. So I like that the Reds have been able to use him in spots to create success for him. He is going to get sent down, not through poor performance, but just the nature of him having options and what they're going to have to do with this bullpen. But he's going to go back with a lot of confidence, a few things to work on, and we will see him again at the big league level in 2026. He'll be the first man up as far as relief pitchers go, I think. Then we get to Emilio Pagán, who still does not look crisp. Tony Santillan started to figure it out over his last couple outings. We saw in Pagán a little uptick in velocity, but he doesn't quite have the control nailed down. 1 inning's worth of work, Tim, a couple walks that just drives me crazy for a guy that's getting paid a whole lot of money to be the quote unquote closer. Walks make me nuts. He did strike out a couple guys. I think he's close to figuring out, but he's definitely not quite there.
Yeah, there is a lot of blue on his Savant page, Steve. And it's exactly where you think it'd be. He's giving up hard hits. He's not getting a bunch of ground balls. He's giving up barrels. He's getting a really strong exit velocity off of him. The only thing that I read right now for him is his fastball run value, his whiff percentage, and his extension. Everything else, it's not kind of blue. It's very blue. And so that just tells us that he is not figuring it out yet. He's looking better. I agree. Everything he's looking better. But he's just not quite where we thought he'd be. And if this team really is going to rely on him so much to get the last 3 outs of a game, they need to see that get better soon. Because otherwise, the guy who pitched the 10th inning looks like he might be willing to take that 9th inning spot at some point.
Yeah, I've talked about that. I thought when they moved Graham Ashcraft to the bullpen, he had future closer written all over him. I love him. And you and I talked about this yesterday. I love him in this fireman role, though. I think it's great usage of him. And just for I know the everydayers know this, but in case anybody is new here, Tim was talking about the Baseball Savant page for Emilio Pagán. If you go over there and check out that site, if it's not something you should. It's really useful information. But at a glance, you can look at a player's page, and if you see a lot of red, they're doing good. Red is good. The Reds are good, and red is good. If you see a lot of blue, think Dodgers, think Cubs. We hate those guys. Blue is bad. If you see that on a page, it's a good, quick snapshot of how a player is performing. And, for there to be a lot of blue on Emilio Pagán's page right now is not a good thing. But circling back to Graham Ashcraft, an inning of work. He did allow a run, but it was Manfred's stupid ghost runner, so Correct. It doesn't count as an earned run there in the 10th inning. He gave up a hit, a run scored. Ashcraft, early in the season, ERAs come down to 2.57 after like one rough outing. He has looked good. He's been in high leverage after high leverage situation that doesn't involve a save situation. I love Graham Ashcraft, the fire stopper, the fireman, the killer of rallies. I maybe we do some kind of Game of Thrones play for Graham Ashcraft. I don't know, but he's killing rallies. He's getting the job done. He has all of the attitude you want from a guy in that role. I love what he's doing on the mound right now.
So to piggyback off what you were just saying about Baseball Savant and what it kind of tells you about a player's snapshot, Graham Ashcraft has a whole lot of red on his Baseball Savant page right now, Steve. He is in the 95th percentile for expected ERA, the 97th percentile for expected batting average, 95th percentile for chase, 96% for whip, and 97th percentile for strikeouts. Oh, and 76th percentile for barrel. What that's saying is he's getting you out, and you aren't making any hard contact on him at all right now.
Yeah, he has made a couple of hitters look downright silly with some of the stuff he is throwing up there, and I am here for it.
Especially because he's a guy that like forever like really made things hard on himself, right? Like that was the problem with him as a starter. He always put himself in jams. And even last year in the bullpen, he put himself in a lot of jams. He's had a jam or two this year, and he's danced out of it, but like most of the time, he is just taking care of business.
So the Reds now find themselves the owner of a 5-game winning streak. They're in first place in the National League Central. Thank you very much. And they have another opportunity to win yet another series with Brady Singer on the mound for the Redlegs. We're going to be talking about what Brady needs to do to get it done coming up next. The Major League Baseball season is back, and you can feel it. Fresh starts, big expectations, and the first crack of the bat. Whether it's a breakout rookie or a division race that goes right down to the wire, there's nothing like being in the ballpark for it. The only problem, getting tickets can feel like a grind. Long queues, surprise fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's where GameTime comes in. Jeff and I tell you about GameTime all the time. This is what we use. We head down to the banks, we find our favorite spot, we grab something to eat, we grab a drink, and we start watching the ticket prices. As we get close to first pitch, those ticket prices drop. We wait, we grab our seats, walk across the street, head into the ballpark. It's just that easy. GameTime makes it so simple to buy tickets on their app. You get views from your seat. If you're going to a venue you don't know, you just go onto the app, you see the view from your seat, you know exactly what it is you're going to get. They have all-in pricing. You know exactly what it is that you are going to pay without any surprises. So download the GameTime app to take the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the GameTime app today. If you can't watch us here on YouTube, we are on every single audio podcasting app out there, I think. Seriously, if you find one we're not on and you need us to be there, message Jeff when he gets back from vacation. He can probably make it happen for you. Here on YouTube, make sure you click the subscribe button and notification bell. We got lots of great stuff coming your way all season long. Get Locked On Reds Monday through Friday with me and Jeff. When Jeff is back, Tim Daniel live and in color every single night after every single Reds game, West Coast included. You get Tim Daniel live after every one of those games. So subscribe today. It's free. All right, Tim, let's keep this talk going because the Reds now find themselves with an opportunity to win another series. They're 8-3 right now. They're in first place. They have a 5-game winning streak. Lots and lots of momentum with this team right now. And Brady Singer's coming back around. His last start out was very, very good. He bounced back nicely from that first start that was a little rough coming off of the blister. And we all are probably sick and tired of hearing about blisters. I know that I am. I would love it if we never have to talk about a blister ever again. But Brady Singer is doing great things. He has been Mr. Reliable for a lot of years in the majors right now. I don't need him to be 8 innings of shutout ball. I don't need him to strike out 10 guys in a game. I would love that. He can do those things and I'll be happy about it. But I just need him to basically do what he did last time out. Be consistent, keep the Reds in the game, give the offense a chance to put them out in front and win some ball games. I like Brady Singer in this spot because I think the Reds can nail down this series and get another series win under their belts right now today.
Yeah, so looking at his matchup against the Cleveland Marlins roster, only one guy seems to really give him fits that's had extended amount of at-bats, and that's Xavier Edwards, the Marlins shortstop, and he gives a lot of people fits. He's pretty darn good. But in 6 plate appearances against Singer, he has a career 1.167 OPS. Other than that, I mean, the only other guy that has an OPS that looks solid are guys who've had like 1 to 3 at-bats against him, so I don't really put a lot of stock into that. This is a game where for Brady Singer, you're built off a really nice Texas start. Like we mentioned in the last segment, Spencer Steer kind of missed a dive that kind of cost him 2 runs. And other than that, we're probably talking about him throwing 7 innings in that game instead of what he threw against Texas. So keep building off that. You're in another bigger ballpark. I think this is the night where he can kind of go out there and take care of business yet again, keep rolling, keep this win streak going. Let's get to 6 wins. I think Brady Singer gives us a solid 6-inning outing tonight.
Yeah, 6-7 innings, I think, is the sweet spot for him in this next start. I did that just for you. I try to work one in once a show now, just for you, Tim. I think that's the sweet spot. I would like to see him somewhere around 90 pitches again. And the bullpen is in a position where I think there's enough rested arms out there. Santillan is available. We probably see Santillan late in the game tomorrow. If a save situation presents itself, it'll be Tony Santillan. Emilio Pagán's been in back-to-back days. I feel good about where the Reds are at right now. Sweeps are hard. And with the Reds on a getaway after a long road stretch, I would like for them to go ahead and nail down this series today so that we don't have to worry about tomorrow. We don't need tomorrow to avoid a split. You know what I'm saying, Tim? I just want to see them get that done already and take care of business, because I'm sure we'll see, a little bit of a shakeup in the lineup, being an early start and them traveling back to Cincinnati.
You get Rhett Lauder tomorrow too. So that doesn't suck. As a next man that can take the ball. That certainly makes things a lot more fun as well. But yeah, you're right. I mean, obviously just get the win tomorrow. It's going to be hard. Yuri Perez has had a lot of success against the Reds in his career. Only 2 guys have big hits against him on the Reds. Tyler Stevenson and Matt McLain both have homers against him. Otherwise, it's not pretty. I know what his numbers say for the year so far, but he is a guy who's pitched really well. His one bad outing was against the Yankees. A lot of pitchers are going to have bad outings against the Yankees. But it's a game the Reds are going to have to bring it. And we've seen them do it all year. They haven't been afraid of who's on the mound against them so far. So I don't think they're going to be afraid tomorrow, but it's not going to be easy.
I wanted to circle back to something you said earlier here as we near the end. We talked about how much better the Reds have been base running. There haven't been a lot of base running mistakes. There haven't been a lot of...
Have there been any?
I think Sal Stewart, only because he was trying to show out, for all of his people in the stands, where he gets thrown out at third base and he had no business trying to go to third base. That's really the only one that jumps out at me of what was he thinking play thus far this season. Where I was going with this is, do you feel like they've been a little too timid thus far with the base running? Do you think they need to begin to dial up the aggression just a little bit? Because I do. I don't want them to go overboard, but I would like to see them tick it up just a little bit. There's been a couple times in the last few games where I felt like Elly should have been going, where I felt like Matt McLain should, and those things didn't happen. Now, the double steal was great. I loved that, but I want to see a little bit more of that, especially from those 2 guys.
100%. And it's also just more fun baseball to watch, is seeing guys taking bases like that. So that certainly adds to it. But strategically, yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a team that has speed, not necessarily up and down the order, but Spencer Steer's got some wheels on him that he doesn't show too often. We obviously know what Elly and McLain bring to the table. Sal Stewart is like faster than he looks, I'm realizing, which is nice to see. Noelvi Marte's got some wheels. Will Benson's got some wheels. Yeah, like cut it loose. I mean, I'm like you said, don't go overboard. Like, don't, keep it simple. But you have the ability and you have the talent to where you can, turn a single into a double, turn a double into an extra, a double with a runner score position into a run. I think this team should take advantage of that. And they did do it much last year, even though Elly was still somehow third in the National League in steals. When a year where it felt like he was just working on one leg.
One leg.
Yeah.
Imagine if he had had 2 legs all year.
Yeah. So it feels like Francona is kind of eased them back into kind of taking more advantage. And I think as the season goes on, I think you are going to see them kind of get more aggressive with that.
I mean, I guess it's not overwhelmingly bad. They have 7 stolen bases on the year, not accounting tonight.
Dude, the times they've been caught were great plays by catchers too. It wasn't like they were just beaten. Like the one where Elly gets caught at home and the second baseman catches on a bounce and tags his foot. It's, it's been played like that. So it's like, I can't be mad at them for when they're getting caught stealing.
Yeah, I would like to see just a touch more aggression. This is what I know, Tim. They are going for another series victory tonight, 6:40 p.m. Eastern time. Reds, Marlins, Brady Singer on the mound for your Red Legs. We are going to be right back here in your feed tomorrow, bringing you all of the news, the notes, the rumors, the reports, and the information. For the folks listening in the audio feed, go check out Locked On MLB. Sully's got you covered over there with Major League Baseball from a national perspective. Former Reds reliever Mike Stanton is over there as well. His show gives you Major League Baseball from a former player's perspective. And of course, a third show in that feed. There's lots happening in the Locked On MLB feed, folks. The third show in that feed is Locked On MLB Game Night. They watch every single game, every single night with all of the experts from the Locked On Network so that you don't have to watch 12 hours of baseball every day unless you just want to. All of those shows are over there. For the video folks, you get to go over and check out Locked On's first ever 24/7 national YouTube channel where all of the experts of the Locked On Network are talking ball 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We'll be back in your feed tomorrow, Tim and I, to keep you Locked On Reds every single day.